All right, let's jump right into this, shall we? Welcome to This Explainer, where today we are unpacking the absolutely staggering, unprecedented economics behind the upcoming 2026 World Cup. Now, we all know this tournament is a massive global celebration, right? But the financial reality of actually attending this upcoming event has fundamentally shifted. Today, we're going to look strictly at the numbers, the new ticketing systems, and the hidden costs to understand exactly how the beautiful game is rapidly becoming a premium financial product.
$31,250. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. If you're a fan of the reigning champions Argentina and you want to follow your team from the group stages all the way to the final, assuming they make it of course, this is your estimated total cost. This one massive figure really sets up our deep dive today. How exactly did we reach a reality where attending a sporting tournament costs as much as a brand new car or a down payment on a house?
Section 1. The unprecedented price tag.
So experts are calling this the premiumization of the sports fan experience. We're seeing this massive shift where live sporting events are increasingly being treated as luxury experiences rather than accessible everyday pastimes. And the sheer math of this particular tournament is mind-blowing. Organizers received 500 million, yes, 500 million ticket requests, but there are only 7 million tickets actually available. It's an immense supply and demand imbalance that completely dwarfs previous tournaments. Just for some context, the 2022 tournament saw fewer than 100 million requests. And this incredible demand is exactly what organizers are capitalizing on, projecting a record-breaking $13 billion in revenue for this World Cup cycle.
Section 2. The ticket pricing machine.
So how exactly do they turn that overwhelming demand into $13 billion? Well, they aren't just relying on your standard, old-school face value sales. They're using entirely new mechanisms that actively inflate costs for the average fan. And the core engine driving this machine is dynamic pricing. Now, we've seen this used for ride-hailing apps and concert tickets before, but this is the very first time dynamic pricing is being utilized by FIFA for this tournament's ticket sales. Essentially, the platform watches demand in real time and automatically jacks up the price as more fans try to secure their seats.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact of that strategy. Category 1 tickets to the final match reportedly started at an already incredibly steep $6,400. But because of dynamic pricing, as soon as demand surged, they jumped to $8,700, and by the final sales stage, they hit around $11,000. It is a crazy, aggressive escalation that completely changes who can actually afford to be inside that stadium.
But what happens if you miss out on that initial sale? Well, you hit the resale market, which introduces what is essentially a geographic lottery. See, in the United States, the resale market is largely unregulated. Someone can literally buy a ticket for $1,000 and instantly relist it for double. However, in regions like Mexico or Ontario, Canada, there are strict regulations in place. Fans there can only exchange tickets or relist them at face value or lower. So the lack of regulation in the massive U.S. market acts as a huge driver of overall cost inflation.
But here is the absolute kicker about that secondary market. Even though fans are the ones hiking up the prices, the organizers are heavily profiting from it too. On the official resale marketplace, a 15% cut is taken from the seller and another 15% is taken from the buyer. So if a $155 ticket gets dynamically priced or relisted for thousands of dollars, that double 15% cut translates into a massive, effortless revenue stream for the organizers on every single transaction.
Section 3. The hidden travel toll. Because we really have to remember the ticket itself is merely the starting line. The entire infrastructure surrounding these host cities is recognizing the enormous demand and cashing in. Let's break down that Argentina fan budget again, just for 3 group stage games. The total is around $9,800. But notice how the ticket slice at roughly $2,400 is completely dwarfed by the massive block for flights and hotels, taking up about $7,000. And keep in mind, this factors in flying across multiple host cities like Houston, Kansas City, and Dallas.
And it's not just the airlines and hotels getting in on the action either. It's local infrastructure, too. Local governments and transit operators are implementing massive price spikes to cover the costs of the fan influx. A typical $20 round-trip train to Gillette Stadium in Boston, that jumps to $80. Taking New Jersey Transit to MetLife Stadium rockets from $12.90 up to nearly $98. Every single step of the fan journey is being monetized.
Section 4. The ultimate fan sacrifices. Now, all of this macroeconomics leads us down to the micro level, the very real human impact this pricing structure has on the international fans who are literally the lifeblood of the sport. Take the story of Mohamed Faraj, an Iraq supporter based in Boston. To make attending 3 group stage games a reality, he is executing an extreme budgeting strategy.
He spent $850 on tickets, and to avoid those massive flight costs we just talked about, he and his friends are driving the entire route. He's actually pitching sponsors using his social media content to help fund the trip, and he's been strictly saving $200 every single month in a dedicated account since last November.
Then there's Weihan Xinghai, a 40-year-old fan from a village in northeast India. He originally wanted to see top-tier teams like England or Portugal, but his total ticket budget was only $350. With top team tickets running $450 to $650 minimum, he was entirely priced out. He ultimately settled for what he could afford, grabbing 2 tickets to see the Czech Republic against South Africa for $140 each. He had to severely compromise on his dream just to get in the door.
To truly understand the gravity of Weihan Xinghai's budget, think about $5 or $6. That equates to roughly 500 rupees, which is his daily wage. This provides an incredibly stark, jarring contrast. On one side, we've got dynamic pricing and billions of dollars in projected revenue. And on the other side, we have dedicated international fans earning $5 a day, just trying to scrape together enough to participate.
This quote from Weihan Xinghai really captures the emotional core of this explainer. He said, "We are very, very careful with our spending here. No more holiday, no more buying new things." He went on to explain that he even had to postpone buying a much-needed laptop just to afford this trip. The personal, everyday sacrifices being made by fans just to meet these inflated costs are tremendous.
Section 5. A global financial divide.
So, the crucial point is this. When you view this pricing crisis through a global macroeconomic lens, you see how it disproportionately affects different participating nations. When you compare the cost of the absolute cheapest ticket to the average income, the GDP per capita of the participating nations, the disparity is massive. For a fan in Haiti, buying the cheapest possible ticket consumes over 89% of their country's average annual income. Even for nations like Brazil or Turkey, it represents over 7%. The barrier to entry is radically different depending entirely on where you were born. And honestly, that highlights the philosophical clash at the heart of this entire explainer. There's a deep, underlying tension here. On one hand, you have sport as a cultural institution, something historically meant to offer a public good and unite everyday passions. But on the other hand, you have sport operating as a ruthless premium business, utilizing dynamic pricing and capturing every last dollar of consumer surplus.
Which leaves us with this stark, final thought. After looking at the $13 billion in projected revenue, the dynamic pricing algorithms, the unregulated resale markets, and everyday fans sacrificing their livelihoods just to afford a single game, who is this year's World Cup really for? It is definitely a question worth keeping in mind as we watch the tournament unfold. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you a clearer picture of the real economics at play here. Catch you on the next one.